Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ModzvilleUSA here, and on the bench we have a Nintendo Gamecube partially disassembled. Oh boy, this one might be a doozy. Well, alright, ladies and gentlemen, this was sent in botched Picoboot install, and yeah, the IPL here is taking quite a bit of damage, so we can only speculate as to what's going on, but let me, I'm going to try to play detective here. I'm going to educate a guess. And that this is using a very cheap, low wattage, not temperature controlled iron that just simply wasn't getting enough heat. It couldn't deal with the bridging. It would have been cold. These are some very cold looking joints. And it looks like we're missing some pads too. So yeah, I think a lot of people see something like this and they're just like, it's jacked, there's no coming back, but we're gonna be fine. Oh, and also there's no flux residue around, so I don't believe they were using flux, which I am applying liberally right now. Always use flux, ladies and gentlemen, and invest in a decent iron. My JBC clone, I'm a big fan of these, but if you want something pretty good on a budget, the KSGER KSGER, most bang for your buck you're gonna get that I'm aware of. So links in the description for those irons if you need one. Alright, so I'm going to go with the chisel tip here. It's really tough to tell what's going on, but it does look like we're missing some pads. Hopefully not any traces, we shall see. But I don't want to drag it, because these pads are probably compromised. So I'm going to do my best to get rid of this without any wick, and with going, with the grain here. So I'm just going to try to brush this out. Yep, missing a pad. Missing a pad. Okay. What the hell? So it all feels quite squishy. Eek. Okay. So the other side, we'll brush that out real quick too. But what we're gonna have to do is completely pull this chip and fix the traces there. Unfortunately. Okay. Okie dokie. So I'm going to go ahead, disassemble this a little bit more. Just the board. We'll get this on the bench and pull the IPL chip off the board completely. Fix the traces with some magnet wire. And reattach the chip. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, got my hot air station here, my Hakko Desoldering suction tool. So 50% airflow, I'm at about 350. Just hitting this chip. Want this nice and molten. We've got some compromised pads, so we really don't want to fuck around. Try pulling too early. Those are looking nice and shiny over here. Oh. I see. Well, alright, ladies and gentlemen. Figured out what the hell was going on. So this is QSB. I thought I was looking directly at the motherboard here. Had me a bit deceived. No, there is a bit of a small PCB attached to the legs, and I believe this is almost certainly the Kunai GC from ManCloud. Throw a picture up of what the install looks like. Yeah, I'm assuming the QSB was installed poorly and ripped out, and this little bit of QSB remains. So thankfully that makes our job a little bit easier here, as we're not going to need to manually create any of these traces. So as you can see, we've lifted the chip. So the idea would have been, so none of the traces were coming from the top side. So say if it was just a pad like this, it's coming from the outside of the chip, we wouldn't need to remove the chip. We could just wire it. But all of these here, this one, you see it go into this via right here. This one, these two are connected like so. We've got the fine trace here to that via, fine trace to that via, big thick ground plane here, and then small trace, and then all of these are either going on the outside or to nothing, it looks like. So yeah, we're good here. So now we just got to figure out how to deal with this QSB. I think we're going to use heat. So let's do it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have this bad boy clipped here on my helping hands. Get it fluxed up. I'm going to come in with the hot air. And the idea, I'm just going to pull it off with these tweezers here. So again, 350. Evenly distribute the heat along the legs here. I'm going to give it like another up, and it just blasted right off. Nice. Beautiful. So what I want to do here is fluxing it up again. And we're just going to wick these. If the integrity of these legs was compromised, as we originally suspected, I'd be a bit more apprehensive about wicking these, but these pads look perfectly fine. So we're going to go ahead, wick it up, get it nice and flush. This will allow us to hand solder the chip back in a little bit easier. You know what I like to do? I like to tin one here, so we can set it down and just lock it in. So let's bring the chip back in. So you can see we got this dot here. Now there's no corresponding dot, but we can see the silk screen has got this little cutaway here. Generally on chips like this, you will have a cutaway like that as well as the dot. I get what it's trying to say. It's trying to say this is pin 1, so dot goes like this. And I'm just going to use my hand here to line it up And we're just going to lock in the one side. I'm going to heat and adjust. See how that looks. Now that looks pretty good. So we're going to do a bit of a heat sink method here. Do one corner, do the other corner. And we've got a little bit of give. I'm going to lock it in like that. Perfect. Now one more. I'm going to come in here. Flux it up one last time. Just loaded up my tip. We're coming in here. Just using a bit of a brushing motion here. Heat the leg, heat the pad. Nice and easy. It's all about having the right heat, ladies and gentlemen. Too much heat. Certain things can be a real problem, but in this case, we're doing fine. Iron's at about, what we got, 330. Nothing too crazy. But the temperature isn't everything. It's the mass of your tip as well. If I was using a much finer tip, it would be much more difficult to get it as molten as easily. I might need to dial up the heat to account for the smaller size of the tip. So I'm using the big fat chisel tip here. Makes it nice and easy. Generally, I've got quite a bit of like legit JVC tips, but generally I'm either using a chisel tip like this. Oh, and then we got some bridging. Just gonna scoot it on over. I'm no longer worried about what's it called? The integrity of the pads, like I was at the beginning before I knew what the hell was going on. Alright. So this is a happy accident. Bob Ross over here going to show you that it's not a big deal. We'll just get this nice and molten. And, you know, our tip will absorb it. So we'll just scoot it on over. Look at that, it's chasing the tip. Kind of distribute it, and in between I'm brushing my iron, cleaning it, getting all the solder off. That gives you a little bit more leeway for your iron to act as like a conduit to suck solder up. Alright. And that looks beautiful. A little gross here with the flux. I'm gonna just hit it with some 99. Bada bing. Alright. I'll take my brush here. Absorb some of that. And I'm gonna come in with a nice dry cloth. Place it over. Soak up the rest of the residue. Okay, so just like this, pan out a little bit, You can see what's up. And just a little something like this, you know. Got the brush in there, getting in crevices. I'll soak this up. And we're not done working, so it doesn't need to be perfect here, but want to get it okay. Okay. Sick. So maybe Editingville can do a nice little like before and after right here, what it was looking like beforehand. That's looking pretty good. So I'm going to reassemble and we're going to make sure the Gamecube works before going forward and installing Picoboot. Well, alright, ladies and gentlemen, this console is booting just fine. Everything seems to be resolved, so let's go ahead and set up a Picoboot. It's been a minute, so let's see how we do. Big ups to today's sponsor, PCBWAY. If you're in the market to get some PCBs manufactured, 3D print work done, or CNC machining, PCBWAY has you covered. My personal favorite is the retro stuff section under shared projects. If you find a project you like, you can order one directly from the page with the choice of having it assembled as well. The creators of these projects even get a cut from your purchase. Click the link in the description if this interests you. Now, let's get back to the show. Well, alright, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't going to be a Picoboot install video. I did one of those when Picoboot came out. Card up here if you want to check that out. But it's been well over a year since I've done one of these. And I think I've got an idea to really optimize it quite a bit by standards at least of previous installs I've done. So went ahead and wired it up to the back here. Got my little bit of wire porn going on here. I'm going to continue on with this. Tie the cable nice and tight with some Loctite super glue, and then or UV resin, either works. But the idea here that I pre-tested is mounting this right here, and then we get really short runs of wire right up on it. It's gonna look real nice, real sexy. And I tested I put the DVD drive back on and there's no issue there. And let me double check with the fan here, make sure the fan doesn't clip it. Yeah, I think this is a great place to install it. So yeah, I'm gonna do a dab of hot glue, boom, press it in, be nice and insulated, and wire it up. So yeah, let's do it. Well, alright, ladies and gentlemen, I've got the Pico Tiny in here. So I insulated the back with Captain tape, did a dab of hot glue to secure it, and then I just kind of knew which wires were going where, wired them up. Didn't really do any slack on them. They're going pretty much straight to the source. And yeah, I think that's pretty good install template. I haven't done this before, but I'm gonna carry on, and if this works out, I want to keep doing it like this in the future because I think this is a pretty clean way to do it. But yeah, that's the install. Let's test it out. Alright guys, so before I insulate this, clean it up a bit more, put it all together, yada yada. I'm gonna put my meter in continuity mode here and just double check that I got the wiring right, because I was going in blind, you know, everything's coming from the bottom, so you never know if something got, you know, wire got tugged, overlapped another one, whatever. Pretty confident, but I'm just going over the diagram here. And we're just going to come in and touch this one. This is GP4. Good. This is GP6 and 7. Good. Ground is here. Make sure it's not short to power. That could be a big problem. It is not. Okay. GP5. Good, good, good. And 3.3 volts. Beautiful. All right. So there's plenty of clearance, but I'm just going to play it safe. Slap some Captain tape on top. Clean it up a bit more. Get some of these fuzzies off the board. Put it back together, and we're going to test it out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, put it back together. Set up the SD to SP2 adapter with the customer's SD card, and looking good. Booting to Swiss. Got some stuff in here. A bunch of legally dumped games, I'm sure. And we'll go ahead and boot up one of the best, Skies of Arcadia. Why not? And there we go. Yeah, ready to rip. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what the moral of the story is. We got a moral here. You know, really use Flux and get a better soldering iron. A lot of this is skill, but you're only as good as your tools allow you to be. And you know, if I had, I'm not sure what iron they use. Someone would have to send me a really shitty iron. Maybe that'd be a fun video. Maybe I should try doing something with an awful iron and seeing if I can do it without destroying something. That could be fun. Let me know in the comments if that'd be a fun experiment you guys want to see. But yeah, no, I mean, by and large, most things are fixable. You make a mistake if you bridge, it's not a big deal. You just need some flux, and you know, the right tools and the knowledge of how to deal with it. So keep practicing. Don't give up. Get a better iron if you've got a really crappy one. Get some flux and try it again. But anyways, ModzvilleUSA signing out, and thank you guys for watching.